All right, I think I'm live. I got this new phone on, you guys, and I don't even know where to look. So you'll have to tell me when you pop on if I am looking in the right place or not. I feel like I'm not. Someone will have to tell me if you watch by replay or live. But anyway, happy Tuesday. Can't believe it's already Tuesday again. I am super excited to talk to you about boundaries tonight. I was just doing some brainstorming and jotting down some notes, and I realized, holy moly, this needs to be a series because there are so many different places where boundaries are absolutely essential in life and definitely in business. And so tonight's going to be the first in a series on boundaries. I don't think it's going to be, every week we're going to talk about boundaries, but as I think of things, I'm going to pop in here and share them with you because I know boundaries are so essential, and I've learned the hard way in both life and business. And so I'm going to share with you some of the things that have worked for me and that have not worked for me. And hopefully you can learn from those and apply some things to your own life and business. Hello. Okay, but so guys, Alicia, do I look like I'm looking at you? Because normally I always want to try to make eye contact as much as I can with you, but I don't know where to look. So I'm looking here. Does that look like I'm looking at you, or do I look cross-eyed? Well, don't answer that if I look cross-eyed and I'm looking at you. Hi, Lens. Let me know. So anyway, if I look like I'm not looking at you, my apologies, and I'll figure it out, but it's a new phone. Okay, cool, awesome. I'm looking, there's a little green light. It's an iPhone 12 and everything is different. I feel like my world has gotten rocked by this phone, but hopefully the sound is a lot better. I know my old phone, the speakers were like going in and out. That thing had been dropped in water and all sorts of things. So anyway, all right, so tonight is going to be about boundaries that you need to put in place if you have a network marketing business and you are trying to build a personal brand with multiple streams of income. Okay, so this is speaking directly from personal experience. I'm going to give you some top tips and boundaries you absolutely need to have, or at least to consider if that's the case for you. Now, if you don't have a network marketing business, some of this is going to be like, what is she talking about? But hopefully you'll still be able to, I know you guys, you're very smart. You'll be able to take some of the things I'm talking about and apply boundaries within other areas, because it's all kind of the same thing, right? But some of the examples I'm going to give you are very much related to if you have a network marketing business. So again, you won't hurt my feelings if you're like, man, that's not for me. But most of you in here do have network marketing businesses, and you are either building or really want to build a monetized personal brand that's not just pigeonholed to one particular stream of income or industry. Okay, good. Thanks, Linz. So before I get started, I would love to know from you all, are boundaries something that you are like a rock star with? Like you feel like you know your boundaries, you're good with setting boundaries on your own time, with others trying to take your time, with the ways that you wanted to be spoken to and treated, etc. Are you good at that? So let's do a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 being, man, you're a doormat. And I'm not saying that offensively, but if that's an area you struggle with, like number 1, cannot set boundaries very well, or it's really hard to hold them. So that's kind of like this extreme. And then a 10 is you are like a boundaries boss. Like no one's getting through your boundaries. You have everything tight and right, and you are just excellent at boundaries. Okay. So where do you fall when it comes to that? And I want you to think about this in business and in life. Kind of give me an average, if you will, because I think some of us are better at setting boundaries in our personal lives than we are in our business or work lives, or vice versa. But just kind of give me an idea of where you're at. That would be awesome. For me, boundaries have been historically extremely hard for me for all the things, basically, to understand what boundaries I should have, to set them, to enforce them, because of course boundaries without actions, it's not effective and it's not a boundary. So if you say you have a boundary and then you don't enforce it, it's not going to work. So this has always been something that I now realize that I've really, really struggled with, but boundaries are everything, because whether it's in your business or whether it's in your life, the 2 most precious resources that we have and the things that we need to protect like no other are our time and our energy. Our time and our energy. And you need to have a bubble, like bubble boy, bubble girl, like have a bubble around you that protects that precious energy and protects your time. because we only have this finite amount of both. And if you allow energy vampires, again, we allow this, right? If we don't set and enforce boundaries, energy vampires will suck the life right out of you and your business, right? You won't be using your time to create impact and income, right? You won't be using your time that you have with your children to be a present mom if you have kids. Okay? Protecting our time and boundaries is paramount, and I am so here for helping all of us really level up in this area, because we don't want to get burned out. We don't want to be living this like half in, half out life in every area of our lives. We don't want to, pigeonhole ourselves because we don't know how to say no, all of these things. Okay. So let's start talking about some boundaries that you absolutely need to have within your network marketing business if you are building a personal brand and you have other things going on. Okay. If you don't, and you really do want to go full force, network marketing only, and just go for it, then some of these things might not apply. But again, this is from my experience and the way that I personally am building my business and my brand. And I've learned this the hard way. So I'm going to share with you some personal examples, and I hope that they're helpful. Lindsay says she's probably somewhere in the middle with boundaries. Okay, thank you for sharing that with us. All right, so again, I have lots of notes written down. I do have a Intentional Influencer Society, which is my paid membership group. We have one of our Q&A calls tonight at 6. So I'm just going to kind of chat with you guys until I need to get off for that and go over there and do some coaching in that group. So first of all, the first thing I wrote down, you have to keep your long-term vision where you want your brand to go, regardless of what anyone else is doing or telling or implying for you to do. You have to know where you and your brand are going for the long term. Otherwise, it's very easy, because there's always 100 million bajillion things to do when it comes to being involved in network marketing. I know this firsthand. I'm sure you guys do too. You could spend all day long if you wanted to, but especially if you are set on building and monetizing your brand outside of just network marketing, you've got to keep your long-term vision of where you want to go right in front of your face and not get distracted by other things. And so let me explain. Hi, Dee. Let me explain to you kind of where this comes from for me. So when I got introduced to the profession of network marketing, I was a blogger. And so still am, but was a blogger. And that was what, I was building my brand, Tailor Made Mama, had my blog, had my Instagram, and got introduced to network marketing as a stream of income. So I thought. But what quickly happened to me was I literally did not have any of the boundaries that I'm going to recommend for you all. And I just started doing all the things and beyond, leaving myself, number one, no time to blog. It was crazy. It was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not doing that anymore because I didn't have any time. And I was a frenetic mess running around, not being a present person in my household as much as I would like to. And I got really burnt out. Okay. So when I made a change it's been over 2 years ago. When I made a change 2 years ago to a different model, I did so that I could get back to building my brand. And that's exactly what I've been able to do since. But part of that is the structure of what I do now as far as a network marketing partnership. But a lot of that is boundaries. So that's number one. You have to keep your long-term vision that you are the brand. You've got to set boundaries so that you have time to do the things that create influence, impact, and income, and not just like 50 bajillion Zoom meetings and power hours and all of these things that are great, but you have to be very tight with yourself around, okay, where do I draw the line? What is enough? Because you can't do all the things, okay? Even if you're not building a personal brand, you still can't do all the things. I hope this is making sense, but I really think it's important to kind of get that at the outset of this training, really kind of giving yourself that boundary of, okay, I'm not going to be I'm not going to take away from what it is that I'm here to do, the message that I have, the way that I want to build, even when you see other people doing things differently, because your business is not going to look the same as hers, or hers, or hers, or your uplines, or your sidelines, or the uplines, downlines, it's going to be different, and you have to stick to how you want to build your brand. Okay. Now, when you set boundaries, I'm just kind of going to tell you this on the outset. When you do set boundaries, if you haven't before, and you start saying no, you start maybe not showing up to every Zoom, or et cetera, some people might not like that at first, and they might take it personally, or they might just not like it, but that's okay. Okay, that's okay. For me, I'm a recovering super people pleaser, and I would literally do things that I didn't want to do because I didn't want someone else to feel bad. That sucks. That's a terrible way to do life or business. Saying yes to things because you're like, oh, I'm too scared of someone not liking me. And then you end up burnt out, stressed out, not doing things that light your soul on fire because you're trying to please someone else, okay? So there are going to be people, when you set boundaries, typically it's the people who benefited from you having no boundaries that get pissed off when you set boundaries, okay? So just know that's going to happen. If you're someone who boundaries are something that is not your forte, but you're like, yes, like I'm going to start saying no, I'm going to start setting work hours, I'm going to not do all the things, I'm going to shift gears, I'm building my brand, I've really got to take this seriously and block out time for my brand, for my blog, for Pinterest, however it is that you're growing your brand, for your brand group. Some of you have taken my mini course, brand group crash course. You're really trying to grow and nurture your group. That, yes, maybe network marketing, your partnership may be a part of that, but you're really trying to monetize that in a way unique to you and your skill sets and your gifts and the things that you're trying to share with your target audience to benefit them, okay? So yes, people might be frustrated or annoyed at first, but keep doing you, be gracious. Don't, I've made the mistake before of enforcing boundaries in a kind of because I was new at doing this, to be honest, new at setting boundaries and enforcing boundaries, not doing it in the best way. So not sharing what it was that I was doing, but just sort of like, here's my boundary, and like, that's it. There are, tactful ways to communicate your boundaries that hopefully won't damage relationships or anything like that. So that's a whole nother conversation, but let's kind of get to our next piece. Okay, good. And you guys, if you have any questions, I know I'm like rambling on, but I really do want to chat with you. So if you have any questions or you want to share anything, if there's an area of boundaries that you would like to talk about, I'm so here for that. I'm really feeling called to talk about boundaries for so many reasons, but it's something that's definitely on my heart. And like I share with you, part of having a platform and part of building influence is to make that impact through the message on your heart. That is what you are here to do. And if you stick to doing that and sharing the message on your heart for your target audience, which is you guys, for me, you can't go wrong. And so I'm just going to go with it. I have no real plan for this series, but I know it's something that I really need to share with you from experience and a lot of things I've been learning, especially lately. Okay. So in your network marketing business, so let's get a little bit specific on things to put in place. And this is whether you have 2 people on your team or you've got 100 or 1,000. Like, these are things to have in place or to put in place early so that you don't go off the rails. You don't go off the boundary rails. We want to keep it in your lane, keep other people in their lane so that your time and energy is not sucked out because you don't get that back. Okay. So pointing to tools. Very key as a leader in network marketing, or even for your customers, okay? So think about it. If you are just crushing it, you've got tons of customers, you've got tons of teammates, or even if you have just a handful, and you spend hours of your time per week explaining the same things over and over and over. Like, if I talk to all of my customers one-on-one about, if they're like, oh, what's so different about this college and then others? And then I just start explaining to them and spend 30 minutes of my time explaining why the college and I promote is better. No, 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 no. Mom, I don't have time for that, right? We can't do that. You have to have tools to point to. So if your company gives you tools like a video, great. Say, hey, here's this quick video. I'm going to send it over. It'll explain it so much better than I can. Let me know if you have questions. If your company doesn't have a video on products, you can shoot your own. You can shoot your own. Do a live on your personal page. Save it to unlisted YouTube. When you get those questions, if you get a question more than once, make a video. Make a voice message in your phone, message yourself in voice messenger, label it underneath it, and then forward that voice message. Do not keep answering the same questions over and over and over. That can add up to hundreds of hours over the course of your career, right? You don't want to be doing that. That's not smart, and that is not a good use of your time. That's not impact and income producing. So point to a tool. Now with your team, same thing. Do not, when you're on ramp, do you, but if you're on ramping and you don't have a system where you can literally point someone to like a welcome video, tag them in some posts and get them started that way, if you're literally sitting down and having like a 2-hour conversation with someone, unless they're like, hey, like I'm bringing over a team, like you know that this is just going to be, they've got a lot of coordination to do. Have tools that you can point people to when you're on-ramping and bringing them into your program, right? So point to tools. It's so important. We could talk about that all night, but that's something that I made a mistake when I first got into network marketing. I was literally like, I would do like on-ramping calls with each and every person. And I sponsored a lot of people. So that was getting very, very overwhelming time-wise. It was very overwhelming. And everything I was doing, I was using max time, which when you do want to provide that level of time, but think about it. If you have people on your team seeing you burning the candle at both ends, they know when you on-ramp them, you did like a curiosity call beforehand. And I've made that mistake before too. You do like a call before they sign up, a call after they sign up. Do you think that they're going to be like, yeah, I got this. Like, let me just go be a beastly recruiter. Let me bring all the people on. They're going to be like, no, I don't want to do all that. Like, great that I got the royal treatment, but they're not going to want to do that. People are looking, your teammates are looking to see what are you doing? What are your boundaries? Is your lifestyle out of control where you're literally on Zooms like every single night of the week? That is not something that people see and are like, yeah, like that's goals, that's lifestyle goals. At least it's not for me and the teammates that I work with. So just think of that when you feel bad about setting a boundary. You're setting a boundary, but you're also setting an example for everyone in your team that's watching you and seeing, okay, like what am I going to have to do if I get to that level? Does that make sense? And you don't want to like lie about it either. You don't want to pretend like you're not busy and you're not totally burnt out when you are, because that's being fake and false, right? So again, I could talk about all of these things for hours upon hours, but point to tools. You do not have to answer so let's talk about Messenger. Okay. If you're who's building a business in one of your predominant platforms, or your predominant platform is Facebook or even IG. So let's talk about, DMs or PMs, basically Instagram or Facebook. If you're building a business and the social media platform that you have chosen to build on to grow your brand, build your brand, which is what I recommend, is yes, have a website. Yes, have your email marketing. Yes, have a traffic source. Pinterest is the bomb. But you do need to have a social media platform. You need to connect with people there. You need to get those eyeballs so you can convert them into leads on your email list. So you picked a platform. Please know that you do not have to answer every single question in your inbox, and you definitely don't have to answer it rapid fire. Again, you're teaching people how to treat you, and not even in a negative way, but you're teaching people what to expect from you, how to interact with you, right? So I used to literally be completely tied to my phone because I would feel this urge to, every single time I saw a message, I had to answer it. It was craziness. I would literally, I couldn't stop because I felt like I don't want to leave them hanging, and I was nervous. I'm like, oh, okay, what if they want to purchase? And it just total frenetic energy, waste of time, waste of energy, not answering the questions, but doing it constantly, okay? So here's what I recommend. Pick maybe 2 times, maybe 3, depending upon, the volume of messages you have. Pick some times where you're going to check Messenger and answer messages. Okay. Now for me, for my clients who I work with, one-on-one paying clients, I have them over in Voxer. Okay. So that's, I go there, I answer their questions because they are paying me for coaching, right? That is my job. So I need to be attending to that. Now, in the other times throughout the day, I will go in and I will check messages. But if I see a question, I'm like, you know what? Someone could look at a resource and get that answer. I will either leave it, and most of the time then they figure it out themselves and they're like, oh, I got it. Never mind. No worries. And that's great. I don't want to be like an enabler, and you shouldn't want to either. It's okay to have a time boundary around when you're answering messages. And if you point to a tool in that case, that's okay too. So if you say, hey, I would probably get that answer by a quick Google search, or hey, why don't you search in such and such group this word? Okay. So you want to kind of put the onus and responsibility back on the person, because that's what's going to make someone successful. No matter whether you're coaching them or they're your teammate, them learning to take 100% accountability and use their resources is paramount. I'm not kidding. That's probably like the number one. Mindset and 100% responsibility and accountability are so crucial to success. I've seen it a million times. The people who are leaders and not leaners are the ones doing well in any area, right? That are like, I'm going to figure this out. Everything is freaking figure outable, right? You have to take that onus and that responsibility. So don't feel bad about setting that time boundary of, I'm not going to answer messages all day long. Okay. I'm going to answer them within 24 hours, and I'm going to try to do it sooner than that if I can, but I'm going to prioritize, my teammates first, or I'm going to prioritize my leaders chat first. Okay. So however you want to do that, but set boundaries. That was totally me last night. Oh, it was. Yes. And exactly, like most of the time. And I do the same thing. So I'll ask a question. We all do this, right? We all ask questions where we're like, oh, I know this person would know the answer. And it's different for Tiffany, because Tiffany, you are one of my clients essentially. So a little different with us, but we all do that, right? We ask a question. We're like, oh, shoot, I actually know where I could find this. I've done it a million times. We do it, but you guys know there are those people in your life and in your business who are chronic with this. They just ask question after question after question. And you're like, oh my gosh, Google it or search it, like use your resources, right? So don't be afraid to set that expectation. You're not being harsh. You're not being rude. You are literally doing them a solid by referring them to tools and showing them that, yes, like empowering them to find things out for themselves, because they're not going to be successful if they rely every day or on asking questions, unless you're their coach. If you're their coach, that's part of your job, right? Is to answer their questions, and they're paying you for it. Okay. Now, okay. I think I already said this, but this is for me, and this is a boundary that I've had to set. When I got into network marketing, I did not realize how many Zoom meetings that would be possible. Okay. So I've been in the industry now for 3 years. And at first I was doing every single Zoom, like all the Zooms, and wanting to do like trainings all the time, like trainings, watching trainings, doing trainings, like just all over the place. And this is when it comes back to, you have to think about your long-term vision for how you, like the time you need to build your personal brand and also have a life outside of your business, right? If you don't have boundaries around your own personal time, when are you going to work? When are you going to clock out? When are you going to say, hey, it's dinner time. Like I'm done for the night until, I'm going to check messages for, 20 minutes later after dinner. Okay. This is another one, setting work hours, really just in general for network marketing specifically. And you can do, there's so many ways you can do that, but setting time boundaries and not just having it be this like all over you type of thing, right? Because it can get that way. But Zooms in particular and calls and meetings, you don't have to do all of those. Now, yes, if you want to be like a tippy top network marketing leader, you probably are going to have to be on more Zooms than you would if you're just like, hey, this is a really solid stream of income that I want to have, stream of income or impact that I want to have. I want to do this, but I don't want to do this. Okay, if that makes sense. But you have to decide, what pace are you going to go at? For me, I tend to be like super like all in, like I want to go full force, give 110%. But what I realized was I want to give 110% to growing my brand the way that I feel called to do. So if that looks like me not giving 110% to network marketing, so be it. That's not what I'm not, and I don't encourage my team to do that either. Building a personal brand does not require you to, be all in on one singular thing. You have to be looking at it from a perspective of your long-term play, like the long-term play. How are you building your brand? How are you positioning yourself in the marketplace? Are you positioning yourself as that that consultant, that distributor? Or are you positioning yourself, making that subtle shift to influencer that changes everything? Okay. And yes, maybe that looks a little slower. Maybe that means that you're not doing an exact power hour every single day for network marketing, but you're doing other things that are definitely going to help you to grow any business you choose. Things that are going to increase your influence and your reach. Okay. Like building out automated systems, like getting on Pinterest, like having a website where your content can actually be searchable and found and seen all the time. Right. So your business doesn't have to look like someone else's, and you can set boundaries around what you say no to and what you choose to do. I just want to empower you guys to know that, because I know for those of you in this group that continue to stay in this group, you see the long-term vision of building a personal brand. And yes, we love network marketing. We love our companies. We love our teams. We love those partnerships and the products. But it's a prong of your personal brand, right? So, yeah, I feel like I've covered all the points in like various ways. This didn't go the way that I was planning on it, but I hope it's been helpful. Yeah, I wrote at the end, you get to choose your lifestyle, like design, yours, life by design. I don't want to design my life around DMing people all day and being on Zoom, like power hours and stuff. I don't want to do that. That to me does not fill my cup. It doesn't feel like it fills my purpose and the way that I want to build. And so I'm going to take that at the pace I want to. I'm going to do what I know how to do. I'm going to teach other people to do what I do. And yay. Is that what everyone does? Nope, absolutely not. I realize that, but I'm okay with that because I have the boundaries around my time, my energy, what I say yes to, what I say no to. And luckily I have super support. My upline is in this group and she's super supportive. She's like, do what you want. Like, I love you, like pop, like she's awesome. Not everyone has that, shout out to Nicole Morton, but not everyone has that supportive of an upline that just gets it and gets the way they're trying to build. So you might get some pushback. You might get someone that's like, what, you're going to do funnels, or, you're going to do a blog. Like, how's that going to work? Because they don't know how it works. Right. So you have to build in the way that you want to build. Find a coach, find a program, do things the way that you want to do it. And don't worry about hurting other people's feelings. They're going to get over it. It's whenever someone gets like upset or hurt, and I've done this, I've literally been on the other side of that when someone sets a boundary on their time. I'm like, wait a minute, it used to not be that way. But that's not their problem. We all get to design our lives and choose the lifestyle that we want. I think that that's pretty much it. And this just goes, okay, let me give you one more thing. This goes for your life or for your business. If there is someone in your life or in your business who is encouraging you, whether they're saying it with their words, they're insinuating passive aggressively, they're in one way, shape, or form, or even if you perceive that someone else, whether it be upline, downline, sideline, family member, if they are wanting you to do or be or act or show up in a certain way and you don't feel like that is in alignment with you, who you were created to be, and the type of business that you want to run, you get to say no. You get to say no And if they push your boundary again, you get to enforce the consequence, okay? And you need to do this in your life and in your business. If you set a boundary and then someone asks again or insinuates again or implies again, and you don't enforce what it is that you said that you would do, if that happens again, then that's not, it is on them kind of, but that's on you. If someone's being toxic in your chat and you give them a warning and they're in your team and you're like, hey, this is not cool, this is not our culture here, blah, 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 and then they do it again and you do nothing, that's not a boundary. It's not a boundary. So it's really important to know that you can say no, you can decline things, you can change up the way that you're doing things. It is up to you to pick your lifestyle, and it's up to you to set boundaries around your time and to protect your energy in the way that you need to grow your personal brand and really be able to show up energetically as best you can and to create that influence, impact, and income that you were made to do, you guys. So that's all I have for you tonight. I'm sure, please drop anything related to boundaries that you would like to talk about, because if you can't tell, this is something that I'm super passionate about. So there's more to come on boundaries, but I hope you found this helpful. If you did, #value in the comments. As always, if you've got friends that you would love to be in this group with you, please feel free to invite them in. I have something so freaking fire coming up in December. Speaking of what I'm spending my time on, is this awesome. It's going to be a challenge for you guys on personal branding, and it's not like anything that you've ever done ever before, and it's going to be so awesome. I'm super excited. So that's to come. Keep that in mind. I'll see you guys next week on Tuesday. I love you and have a great rest of your week.